right, scholars, how are we all doing today? Good, good. So we have been learning about being healthy. We have been learning about exercising and all the different things that we can do. We've learned about swimming and dancing and walking and running and all the different activities that we can do to help stay healthy, to help give us more energy. But we haven't talked about the foods that we need to eat to stay healthy. Today we are going to be discussing all the different food groups that we need to stay healthy. We're going to start off with a short video. Scholars, how are we sitting when we watch our video? That's right, we have our eyes forward, our thinking caps on, and our listening ears turned up. So we're going to watch a short video. Scholars, where do we get our energy from? Yes, we do get our energy from working out. Sleep, yes. Where else do we get our energy from? Yes, we get our energy from food.
That's right, from the food we eat.
Good job.
All kinds of different people enjoy different kinds of food. But whether your favorite meal includes noodles or nectarines, tortillas or tofu, most types of food have some of what our bodies need to stay healthy. You might already know that we can put different kinds of food into different groups. We call these, you guessed it, food groups. But let's check out each group and see what kind of food belongs where. Let's start with the fruit group. You got it.
All right, scholars. Fruits. Who can tell me a fruit? Apples. Tamika. Blueberries, good. All right, one more scholar. Bananas, yes, you are so right. You love bananas, don't you? All right.
Love sweet, delicious fruits. This group includes things like apples and pears, oranges, and strawberries. Fresh fruit is the best for you, but fruit that's canned or frozen counts too. After all, many fruits are hard to find in the winter, and some fruits only grow in certain parts of the world. But don't forget about fruit that's been dried. Raisins are just dried grapes, and prunes are dried up plums. And even juice is part of the fruit group, but only if it's all fruit juice and doesn't have added sugar. Next.
How many scholars like orange juice? Can I get a show of hands? Do you guys like pulp in your orange juice or no pulp in your orange juice? What's pulp? So you know in orange juice, or when you eat an orange and those little stringy things that come from the orange, that's pulp. So it's a part of the orange, and sometimes you can get orange juice that has a little bit of it left in there. Do you like the stringy ones? No, I don't like the pulp either. That's okay.
The grain group. Grains are plants.
All right, scholars. Who can name some grains? Bread. Can I get one more scholar? What about spaghetti? Noodles.
Wheat, and barley. If a food is made from one of these plants or any other grain plant, it belongs here. That means things made of flour like bread and noodles, breakfast foods like oatmeal and cereal, and even rice are all part of this group. Next up, the vegetable group.
All right, scholars, who can name some vegetables for me? Daniel? Brussels sprouts. Do you like Brussels sprouts? I do too. I like to cook them in the oven and add a little bit of salt and pepper. Brussels sprouts. All right. Molly. Broccoli. One more scholar. Yes. Tomatoes. Asparagus.
You already figured out what goes here. Vegetables come from plants too, but unlike grains, they're either the roots, stems, or leaves of certain plants that we can eat. Carrots, for example, are the sweet orange roots of the carrot plant. A head of lettuce is just a bunch of crunchy leaves. And asparagus is actually a stem of the tasty asparagus plant. There are so many kinds of veggies out there that we can actually split this group into smaller groups. For example, there are dark green veggies like spinach and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Then there are red and orange veggies like beets and carrots, just to name a few. Now, what other foods can you think of? What about the stuff that's inside your sandwich? Meats like chicken or hamburger belong to the protein group, and so do fish like tuna, and eggs made any way you like. But
Can we think of any more protein groups? What's another sandwich that we like to eat? Some people like to have strawberry or grape jelly with it. Yes, Tamika, peanut butter. Do we have any more protein groups we want to add? Chicken. One more. We gotta have ham if we're having chicken. You're right.
not all members of this group come from animals. Other foods like beans, peanut butter, and tofu, which is made from soybeans, are full of protein. So they're also proud members of the protein group. And that leaves us with the last food group, dairy. If a food is made from cow milk or soy milk, it's in the dairy group.
Scholars, can we think of any dairy products we can add before we listen on? Yes, my personal favorite, cheese. Anything else? Yes, Daniel, yogurt.
So this is where you find things like yogurt and all kinds of cheeses, as well as your usual glass of milk. And you know what else fits in this group? Ice cream. But that reminds me, sweet treats like candy don't fit into any of our groups. That's because they're made of mostly sugar and don't have any of the things that our bodies need to stay healthy. So it's okay to enjoy these foods from time to time, but just not a lot of the time. Now, do you think you could put a food into the right group? Let's take a tasty food quiz and see how well we know our food groups. We'll start with a slice of pineapple. What group do you think it goes in?
Class, what group does pineapple go in? Is it a vegetable? Is it protein? Is it dairy? Vegetable. I don't think it's vegetable. What about
Sweet says the fruit group.
fruits?
Good job, Sweet. Yes, pineapple belongs in the fruit group. What about this hard-boiled egg?
Scholars, where does our egg belong? So we know we have our fruit group. What about our eggs? Protein. Good job.
What group do you think this fits into? That's right, the protein group. Eggs are a good source of protein. Here's one more. We'll end our game with a food that fits into two groups, macaroni and cheese.
All right, scholars, let's look at it. So we have noodles and cheese. Where do the noodles belong? Is it dairy, vegetables, or grains? Grains, good job. Now what about cheese? Dairy,
Look
good
at each
job.
part separately. The cheese from the mac and cheese fits into the dairy group because it's made from milk. But what about the macaroni noodle? Well, we learned earlier that noodles are made of flour from grain. So that means macaroni belongs to the grain group. That's right. Macaroni and cheese contains foods that are in the dairy group and the grain group. Whew, all this guessing has made me hungry.
All right, scholars, good job listening. Now that we've watched the videos, one by one, I want you each to come up and pick a food from our food group right here. We will start with Daniel. All right, scholars, now that we each have an item of food, I want us to take 3 minutes to go find your correlating picture. So we are going to be looking for pictures around the room that have our food groups. So we have a vegetable picture, we have a fruit picture, we have a grain picture, we have a dairy picture, and we have a protein picture around the room. And I want you to find your group and stand there. After 3 minutes are up, the timer will go off and we will announce our food groups. Ready, set, go. Awesome job finding your group, scholars. We have everybody where they should be, whether they are a vegetable, a fruit, a protein, a grain, or a dairy. So now that we know what food group we're in, we got to know how we have to set up our plate. How many of each food group do we need to be healthy? How much of these foods do we need every day? So we are going to watch a short video over MyPlate and the healthy food groups. Scholars, we have our thinking caps on, our listening ears are turned up, and our eyes are forward.
What can you make your family for dinner that's healthy and tastes good? You can follow the plate method. This healthy eating plan works for everybody, including people with diabetes. Indeed, making nutritious, healthy meals will be a snack. What's a healthy plate? It's a way to control your serving sizes where you don't have to count. Simply use a 7-inch plate for children and a 9-inch plate for adults. First, divide the plate in half and fill one of them with vegetables. There are 2 types of vegetables: starchy, like potatoes, corn, peas, or plantains, and non-starchy, like zucchini, jicama, cucumbers, carrots, or salad. If you have diabetes, fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables. Then fill 1/4 with whole grains or starches, like brown rice, corn, beans, or whole wheat pasta. In the other quarter, add some lean protein like tofu, grilled fish, or chicken. What about adding a side of tortilla or bread? It's hard to resist, I know. The trick is serve yourself a smaller portion of the other starches on your plate instead. To complete your meal, add a drink like unsweetened coffee, tea, or a glass of milk. But remember that drinking 8 ounces of milk affects your blood sugar just as it would if you ate another tortilla or a slice of bread. Or you can also choose water with a squeeze of lemon or lime. How you create your plate is up to you. You have many options, as long as you remember to follow these healthy guidelines. And ta-da! You're all set. You might be thinking, how can you use the plate method to make vegetable beef soup or other meals? Simply follow the same idea. Fill your pot with low sodium broth and lots of healthy vegetables like corn, cabbage, zucchini, carrots, and onions, and some lean beef.
All right, class. So that was MyPlate. MyPlate is just a healthy way to eat. It shows us what our plate should look like. So we have our section with our vegetables, our section with our fruits, our grains, our protein, and our dairy. So I'm going to pass around. Everybody will get their own MyPlate. And I want each of you to take your symbols. Okay, scholars, so now we know all about the different kind of foods we have. How many food groups are there, Alexis? 5, that is right. So we have 5 food groups, and up here we have our MyPlate. So our MyPlate shows us how much of each food group we need. Now that we have our MyPlate up here, I want each of you to come up and grab your own MyPlate along with your stack of cards. One by one, we are going to line up. While we are waiting, scholars, how are we sitting? Molly, that is right. Look at Molly. She has her butt in her seat. Her hands are at her desk, and her thinking cap is on. Molly, come first and grab your cards. All right, scholars, now that we each have our cards, I want you to take your plate and take your supplies with your little cards, and we are going to glue our foods in their groups. So, if you have a picture of an apple, where would our apple go in our MyPlate? Would it go in our vegetables? Would it go in our dairy? That is right. It would go in our fruit. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I will set the timer. And we will have our group set up. And then I will walk around with our glue. Once we have our food group separated and I check your work and I give you your smiling face sticker, you will begin gluing your food groups to your MyPlate. On the count of 3, scholars, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, scholars, we have done an awesome job working with our food groups and figuring out how there are 5 and what kind of food goes in each group. So now that we have worked so hard and we have all of our MyPlates passed out, I want to give each and every one of you your pocket MyPlate to carry with you to lunch and at home. So we remember the healthy eating in the 5 different groups. And to end with our lesson, because you guys worked so hard, we are going to have a dance party. So everybody up on your feet. We still have our thinking cap on, our listening ears are turned up, and our eyes are forward, but we are going to listen and dance. If my video will start playing, I'm sorry, scholars, you are being so awesome and so patient. More seconds, scholars. Good work today, scholars.